I talked a little bit about separation of duties, and again, this is something that CISSP hits over and over again. It's not just the term that you need to know the definition, which is separating a critical task into two components so one person can't carry out fraud. You're also going to need to know examples of separation of duties, cognitively how they would work within an environment. And the reason that it's something that prevents fraud or tries to prevent fraud is that if you split a critical task between two people, then if this person wants to carry out fraud, he has to convince this person also. And that reduces the amount of fraud that will take place. So one person, yeah, they might be tempted to carry out fraud, but if they have to get somebody else in on the game, that's called collusion. Collusion is when two or more people work together to carry out fraudulent activities. So you'll see different examples through the different domains. When we get into cryptography, we'll talk about key recovery, because you don't want, like an administrator, just to be able to recover somebody's private key. Security versus operations, there should be a delineation between what the security team does and what the operations and network people do. You do not want, it should not be set up where the security administrator goes directly to the network administrator. There should be clear lines of responsibility. So you have a security administrator that goes like up to the CISO, and then you have a network administrator that may go to the CIO. The reason is because they don't have the same, there could be conflicts of interest there. The network administrator's responsibility is making sure that everything's always up, always running. And security is not about always up and always running. So we'll see that again when we get into operations about that issue. And testing and production environments, when we talk about programmers, the programmers should not have access to any code that's actually in production, and nobody in operations should have access to any source code that's being worked on by the programmers, because they could, people could tinker with things, and that's happened. Manipulate some type of code so they can carry out fraud.